Hello, I'm Elizabeth Nosek, Curator of Education and Exhibits. A few years back, the museum produced an exhibit called Eating on the Railroad. It looked at the evolution of the dining car and the various objects associated with that topic. It was during this project that I was introduced to the museum's wonderful collection of railroad menus. Over the last few weeks, we have showcased recipes inspired by our menu collection. And today I'm going to provide a quick overview of railroad dining and then use a small selection of the menus from 3 railroads that traveled through Colorado: the Union Pacific, the Denver and Rio Grande, and the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe. Food fit to eat was hard to come by for early train travelers. Railroads in the early to mid-19th century offered few, if any, perks. Instead, they chose to emphasize the speed that they could get travelers to their destination. Passengers stayed in the same car depending on their own packed baskets, muse butchers who sold a few things on board the car, and counters at depots along the track. The quality of what was offered for purchase varied greatly. Now, in 1868, George Pullman built his all-dining car, which he named the Delmonico, after that famous New York restaurant. The Delmonico was placed in service on the Chicago and Alton Railroad between Chicago and Springfield, Illinois. Meals cost the high exorbitant price of $1. The Michigan Central was the first railroad to have regularly scheduled dining cars on its trains to and from Chicago, beginning in 1876. And the Baltimore and Ohio followed suit in 1881, becoming the first railroad in the East to feature dining cars. One by one, the Western railroads followed, with dining car-equipped trains inaugurated on the Union Pacific in 1890 and the Santa Fe in 1891. What was offered on a dining car menu was the result of current food trends, varied regional tastes, what food was in season, and even the current weather that a car would travel through on its way to the destination. Dining service encouraged ridership by enhancing passenger experience, but it seldom made a profit. The white liveried waiters, flowers, specially designed china, and dining car menus all played a part in creating a glamorous experience for the passenger. Now, menus were not just about the food they offered. They also served as subtle marketing tools, reinforcing the railroad's reputation and its amenities in the traveler's mind. Now, railroad menus were considered popular souvenirs. Besides reminding passengers of the meals they enjoyed, menu covers were often considered collectible art. Children's menus were very colorful, and besides engaging illustrations, they often incorporated rhymes, puzzles, or even toy trains. The Denver and Rio Grande Railroad is a perfect example of using cover art and menu selections to sell their train ride experience. Now, both of these 2 menus show a typical Colorado landscape and advertises the Western Slope orchards in the back. And they even point out how they're using cream and dairy from a local farm. Now, while the earliest of these menus dates back to 1911, no one would be surprised to find it in a restaurant today. The farm-to-fork movement appears to have begun earlier than we thought. This menu from the 1940s celebrates the Moffett Tunnel. The tunnel, located on I-70, still draws tourists today who come to marvel at this engineering feat. The Union Pacific Railroad created the Discover America campaign in the 1950s. As part of this campaign, menu covers sported different nationally known landmarks, including the Grand Tetons National Park, Disneyland, and our own city and county building. At this time, not only did the city and county building handle governmental affairs, but it also housed the Denver Art Museum on its 4th floor with 12 permanent galleries. Now, things certainly have changed because the Art Museum is now housed in 3 buildings near its early home. Fred Harvey partnered with the Santa Fe Railroad in 1876 and opened his first depot restaurant in Topeka, Kansas. By 1880, the chain of Harvey houses stretched along the Santa Fe main line from Kansas to California. There were 4 official Harvey houses in Colorado: Pueblo, Trinidad, Colorado Springs, and Palmer Lake, along with a hotel in La Junta. Now, when the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe took over the Colorado Midland Railroad between 1890 and 95, Their eating houses in Cascade, Idlewild, and Leadville were brought under the Fred Harvey umbrella as well. Harvey houses definitely considered their menus as a marketing tool, as well as a souvenir for their guests. Famous landscapes and Native American scenes helped sell tourists on this special route. The company collected art of the Southwest, and they used these images for covers on their menus. During World War II, one of the ways that Fred Harvey supported the war effort was through their menus. They used the menu covers to help educate the public. Our collection has 3 examples, one identifying the different wing insignia, one identifying ribbon decorations and service ribbons, and finally one that identifies the U.S. Army warplanes. I want to show you the inside because today the menu selections in these reflect the food and labor shortages of the war era for historians. You can see that guests had fewer and more basic offerings. Now, it was not uncommon to provide a separate wine menu. When this menu was published in 1950, alcohol could not be sold on trains traveling in Iowa, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Now, Colorado went the other way, charging a tax of 20 cents for each serving of distilled liquor that was sold. Santa Fe absorbed 1/2 of the tax, passing 10 cents on to the customer. Menus are still one of the dining car items that are most sought after by collectors. They continue their tradition as a beautiful and thought-provoking souvenir, providing us with a window into a world now gone. A reminder of the days when train travel was the predominant mode of transportation in the United States. I want to thank you for joining me today for our Still Working on the Railroad series. See you soon.
If you enjoy our content, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Sharing and commenting in particular may qualify as virtual engagements for important funding programs like the SCFD.